Oh boy, here we go. Remember how fun it was playing as Gamma in SA1? Well, I want you to throw all that right out the window. And that's how you have the mech sections. Where do I even begin? First of all, I tried to walk backwards there. I tried to turn around. And you can't do an instant 180-degree turn like it's nothing. The controls are not nearly as smooth as Gamma, where you could easily target a whole bunch of enemies while still moving fast by jumping and spinning your character all the way around in midair so that you could target all of them while still moving forwards. The controls of the mechs are very clunky. You can't just immediately turn around. It feels completely random what you actually target. With Gamma, you target what's directly in front of you, and you can just easily spin around so you have exact control over what you target. With this, well, you do, I guess, hit things faster. It doesn't make up for the fact that it feels completely random what you target. Because you can't do an instant 180-degree turn, it's a lot harder to target things that are behind you. They removed the time system for the mechs in this game. With Gamma, you actually had an incentive to target a whole bunch of enemies because it would give you a lot of time, and that was really satisfying. Here, the only reward is points. So you keep doing it because you want to give yourself something exciting to do in a boring platforming level. But there's really no reward to targeting a whole bunch of enemies anymore. And it's easy to underestimate how short the distance of your jump is. So the platforming can be really awkward until you get the hover ability. And another problem I have with the max levels is that constantly you'll have enemies that are right in front of you. And so you're pretty much guaranteed to walk into them. It's especially glaring when there's enemies that drop down from the sky onto you. Like the tall gun robots. Those ones. Sometimes they'll drop right down from the sky and you walk into them because you don't know where they're going to show up. The mech levels are cheap. They're very cheap with the enemy placement. And I hate how you can actually target the yellow projectiles that these enemies shoot out at you. And why wasn't I hitting those enemies? Like, why was I... Like, just because they're behind bars, really? And another problem I have with mech levels is that you have to kill all the enemies in a room to progress a lot of the time. How is that Sonic-like in any way? Bullshit! I'm facing that enemy, I should be targeting it. Why aren't I targeting it? If I was playing as Gamma, I would have hit that enemy. But oh no, you have to stand here and just rely on the fact that the camera will pan out. How are you supposed to know the camera's gonna pan out on the first time through? And that level is of acceptable length, but it gets worse. There's an upgrade in this room, but until you get the ability to break the iron containers, you can't get it. And I always hate that. It feels like you're cheated out of upgrades just because you don't have upgrades that you get in later levels to get it. Remember the first cutscene in the game? Well, the demo for this game actually has the man on the radio say, "What the hell?" instead of just saying, "What in the world?"
Keep your voice down. Have no fear. Amy Rose is here.
I get that she's not a playable character, and so they didn't care about making a good model. But still.
Well, if you gotta know, I caught a ride with Tails. Are you sure you don't need my help? It looks like you could use it.
I love the acting there. Sometimes she sounds like she's just reading directly from the script, but other times she sounds pretty good, and again, she has the best voice in this game.
Will you marry me?
No way.
I thought I had you this time.
And she lets him out anyways. She's just kidding around. She's not actually trying to get him to marry her.
Hedgehog came here with Dr. Eggman.
It's a lot better than later games where she's literally trying to get him to marry her.
Wall anyway.
Foreshadowing.
Wait for me, Sonic.
I love that.
Brat.
Like, she acknowledges that he has flaws. She actually calls Sonic a brat. It's not like he's a Gary Stu where all of his friends are worshipping him all the time. And now you have one of the best levels in the game. Like, you can tell the scripted sequences are programmed better because they're staying in the exact center of that first loop. But here's why the homing attack sucks. That enemy is very clearly in front of me, and yet I air dash instead of hitting it. Why? I had a lot more problems with the homing attack in this game than SA1. I feel like there were a lot more times where I was air dashing instead of homing attacking the enemies that were right in front of me. Getting the A rank for this level is an absolute bitch. Because, well, first of all, it's impossible to get on the first try because the amount of time that it takes to get the upgrade costs you the A rank. And, well, yeah, that's a screwed up scripted sequence there. Like, you shouldn't have run back there so fast. I hate the somersault move. I hate how the level design constantly makes you stop, breaking the pace, so that you can roll and get under walls. How is that fun? And Unleashed sort of brought it back with the slide move, and I didn't really like that either. In this section, when you're trying to A-rank this level, you have to skip that spring and homing attack over to that enemy. And you have to really rush to hit another spring. And only that way can you get the A-rank. And it is extremely difficult to A-rank this level, and that's why I've never even bothered. I love the music for this level. Like, it's all fast-paced and stuff. It has a lot of electric guitars. Sonic's levels in general tend to have electric guitars in it, which suits him as a character, but doesn't always suit the level. Has anybody actually gotten all of the item boxes in that area? I don't think it's possible because the controls for the snowboard are complete shit in that section. Even if you're trying to be really slow and careful about it and constantly jumping, it's impossible to control your snowboard. You keep moving far too left or right for your liking.
So far, so good. Hey, that's...
That blue hedgehog again, of all places.
I found you. Faker.
Faker? I think you're the fake hedgehog around here. You're comparing yourself
That's pretty
to me?
badass of him.
Huh. You're not even good enough to be...
And Sonic interrupts Shadow there, and a lot of people like to mock the cutscenes for how the characters talk over each other and interrupt each other, but it does make perfect sense for Sonic to interrupt Shadow while he's insulting him, at least. And plus, even if it sometimes makes the dialogue hard to hear because the music loves to drown out what the characters are saying, but that's what subtitles are for.
So you're not...
If you very lightly tap the B button, it'll create the effect of you being in a somersault without actually being in a somersault. So the opponent will keep running into you and getting hit for no reason. But I couldn't get it to work because I didn't realize I was supposed to tap it very lightly. This boss fight is absolute hell if you don't know they're supposed to somersault to defeat him. Because you homing attack into him, and he homing attacks into you and bounces you back harmlessly, and then you fall into the bottomless pit. How are you supposed to know you're supposed to somersault? Omochao says you have to lower his defenses, but that doesn't explain what you're supposed to do.
Back here right now before the island blows up with you on it.
Blows up? Gotta get out of here. Find Amy and Tails. Right away.
This music isn't exactly suited for a jungle level, but consider what's happening here. You have a time limit where you have to beat this level before the island blows up, so it's pretty frantic. And plus Sonic is moving pretty fast. Usually forest levels have pretty boring themes, like not necessarily boring, but if it sounded more like a forest, it wouldn't really be suited to a Sonic game. Like Tropical Jungle sounds like a forest, but not really. God damn it, I wanted to homing attack that tall robot. you've noticed that the enemies we're fighting are not badniks that have animals trapped inside them. They're actually the forces of a military called GUN, which is the Guardian Unit of Nations. It's basically S.H.I.E.L.D. from the Marvel Universe. It's the military of the United Federation, which is basically America, where Sonic lives, and also has spies working for them. And the concept of having forces of good working against Eggman other than Sonic and his friends was mind-blowing at the time. God, the camera is so awful there. You pretty much have to spin dash jump blindly into the camera, or homing attack something that you can't actually see because the camera isn't showing you it. It's so easy to miss out on that upgrade because you don't know where it is, because the camera isn't showing you it. Like, I'll go on and say this right now, I think the camera is a lot worse in this game than it is in SA1. I mean, sure, the camera is usually directly behind you, and you're usually just moving forwards anyways, so it's guiding you where you need to go. But, like, it really sucks when you're forced to backtrack, and so you have to stumble blindly into the camera, and only that way can you progress. And sure, you can rotate the camera with the L and R buttons, but here's the problem. If you so much as move, even a little bit after rotating the camera snaps back to its original position. So what's the point of that? What's the point of letting me control the camera if the camera just snaps back to its original position as soon as I move? Hold down and A here, and that's how you go down with the vine. How are you supposed to know that? How are you supposed to know how to control the vine so that you get that balloon? The light speed dash of this game is actually good because you press B and you immediately fly along a trail of rings, which is perfect. Unfortunately, it's mapped to the same button as somersault. In uneven ground, like this level tends to have, it's very likely that you'll end up somersaulting a whole bunch when you're trying to use the light speed dash, which is another reason why the somersault should have never existed. Not sure how you're supposed to know you can grind rail there, but god damn it, why is the homing attack so shit? Why couldn't I homing attack onto that spring? What, just because it's a little higher than me? Bullshit. The timer is very lenient, as you can see. I cleared it in 3 minutes, and I started out with
No problem.
with like 8 minutes on the timer. So it's a good level. It's just, it doesn't really compare to the levels in SA1 for me. CG cutscene. How many people died? Not that I really care, because you don't actually see any people living on Prison Island. For all you know, it's only a place where Gun makes his robots and that's it. Here's the most famous level for Knuckles. I love the aesthetic and the atmosphere of this place.
There's no time to lose. I have to hurry and find the master.
Like, I love the way it looks, the fact that it's so unique, with all the creepy pumpkins and everything. Something you probably noticed by now is that Knuckles levels have rap in them. And I've never really been a big fan of rap, like, I'll admit it, I hate rap. But this rap is actually good. Like, I especially love the music that plays in the background. The instrumentation of it and all. It's very suited to the creepy level. Usually the rap isn't too full of itself. Like that's the problem I have with rap most of the time, is that the rapper is just glorifying himself and like, he's trying so hard. But yeah, this level is pretty big, pretty wide open, and the radar sucks. But I feel like it's better than Red Mountain for Knuckles in that there's 3 main areas to it. And so the hidden monitors, if they tell you to go to Pumpkin Mountain, you know exactly where to go. It's not like Red Mountain where there's a huge amount of different mountains you have to go to, and you spend forever flying around looking for it. If you use the somersault on an enemy, it'll actually home into the enemy. So the somersault makes a more accurate homing attack than the literal homing attack. How does that make sense? It's not very intuitive either.
It's closer.
I didn't mean to collect that Chao Key. I was planning on only showing off the Chao system in the extra video. But in the next video, I will show off at least the first garden for a minute or 2. But I didn't actually mean to collect that Chao Key. Yeah, it's here. That's the reason why I fell to my death in Red Mountain. Because I thought that the wind would catch me, but it actually didn't. Ugh. These enemies are kind of annoying. They hold you still sometimes. And then you have to mash buttons to get him to let you go. When the ghosts pop out of the tombstones to jump scare you, your controller actually vibrates. This was the first Sonic game to have swearing in the soundtrack. There's actually swearing in the rap lyrics for Knuckles' theme, and in the lyrics of some of his levels. And they actually had to cut out a line from Death Chamber saying, "You're damn right, Knuckles." Like, that was literally meant to be a line that was said from Sonic's perspective. Even though Sonic doesn't really say the word damn. He's too purely heroic and self-righteous to swear. This swearing is why the GameCube version has a lyric warning on its cover. Associating Knuckles with rap is kind of weird because he's a stoic guardian type. Not really the kind of person I associate rap with, especially since he has Mayan ancestors. The only explanation I can think of is that he's a tough guy and he has dreadlocks. But that doesn't necessarily mean that having rap for him makes sense. I don't think he even would have heard of rap. He doesn't even like resort hotels. Cityscape has plenty of billboards to it, as you probably noticed. The Chow in Space 2 movie billboard and the billboard advertising for the DVD edition of Chow in Space are continuity nods to the Chow in Space poster in SA1. They actually cared enough to have a continuity nod. And it's for something as minor as a one-off joke. You're never gonna see that in future Sonic games. Like, Unleashed and Colors have, like, nothing to do with each other. Sonic is wearing different shoes than he usually does in the games. I don't really find all of that noticeable, but he's wearing what's called high-speed shoes in order to promote the soap shoes in real life. And he started rail grinding in this game to promote the new extreme sport called freestyle grinding, which is first done in this game. I'm fine with Sonic wearing soap shoes. I'm not nitpicky enough to complain that he doesn't have the shoes he normally does. There's also a lot of billboards, blimps, and benches that advertise soap shoes as well, which I find pretty shameful, to be honest. And I don't really see the point of advertising in a game. How are players supposed to know that soap shoes are a real thing that they can actually buy? No wonder soap shoes went bankrupt. The high-speed shoes that Sonic wears are a custom version of the Scorcher Nitro soap shoe in real life. And Shadow actually wears soap shoes too. He wears a pair of custom broadside shoes. The game's demo released with the RPG Phantasy Star Online actually had Sonic with his Genesis shoes because that was before they made the endorsement deal. I don't really see the point of Sonic Team agreeing to the endorsement deal in the first place because, well, I guess the Dreamcast was failing, so Sega felt like they needed the money. I'm glad they didn't do advertising that blatant in a Sonic game ever again, because it kind of makes Sega feel like a sellout. I wouldn't call them that. They kind of need the money, but still.